Ladies and gentlemen, we have, sorry for the delay, but it was a very intensive debate. We have about 15 minutes. The President will give a brief statement and we might be able to take 2 or 3 questions. Thank you. I'll give the floor to the President.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Prime Minister Cameron came to the European Parliament to listen to our positions, to the state of play of the preparation of the European Parliament for the Council meeting on Thursday, and I informed the Prime Minister together with the 3 experts here in the Parliament, Mr. Brok, Mr. Gualtieri, and Mr. Verhofstadt, about the content of the proposals we will make to the Conference of Presidents today to prepare the position of the European Parliament to be presented by me on Thursday for the European Council. It was a very constructive meeting. We went into the details of the draft proposals for the Council on Thursday. It was a real open exchange, and it lasted much longer than foreseen, and we were already half an hour delayed when we started, so we are delayed with everything today. Therefore, I present my excuses for being delayed also here. The major points the European Parliament raised were exactly addressed. The European Parliament insists that whatever happens has to be within the frame of the treaty, and no treaty changes for the time being are possible. We insisted that the debate about some of the elements are for the European Parliament of the highest relevance, and we are concerned about some points, and we try to clarify today which are the key elements. No split between Eurozone and non-Eurozone countries. 1972 is the range of the 28 member states on which is concerning the structure of the European Union. We have 19 member states belonging to the Eurozone. There are 2 member states with an exception or an opt-out. This is the United Kingdom and Denmark, and 7 countries which have not yet joined the Eurozone. And the basis for the whole procedure here is the treaty. Article 3.4 of the European Treaty. And I think we will, as European Parliament, clearly insist that the treaty remains to be the basis for the relationship between the Eurozone countries and non-Eurozone countries. Quite clear, the second element, nobody, no country, especially not the United Kingdom, should be discriminated in the single market because of being not a Eurozone country, but the relationship between non-Eurozone countries and the Eurozone within the single market has to be based on mutual respect, non-discrimination, and in the frame of the treaty. And therefore, we insist, I repeat it, Eurozone and non-Eurozone member states should be or should treat each other on equal footing. The level playing field in the single market should be ensured also for banking and financial institutions. We see a clear point that here the United Kingdom has the need to clarify what in the single market has to be done from Eurozone and non-Eurozone countries, but we need a clear level playing field, and here especially the concerns of the European Parliament are related to the banking union and to the financial institutions. That's what we explained to the Prime Minister and what we tried to clarify before the summit of Thursday. An element extremely important for the European Parliament was that future treaty changes are not only related to that the specific role of the United Kingdom on which is concerning ever closer union has to be implemented in a future treaty change, but that also other elements of a future treaty change are not excluded. So an open formulation means a future treaty change could be envisaged, but only if it would include some other changes, including, for example, a reinforcement of the economic and monetary union. We insisted and explained to the Prime Minister that in Section B, the better lawmaking deal between the three institutions we just made meets a lot of requests of the United Kingdom government. So we made once more reference that to reduce burdens, to reduce unnecessary regulation and especially red tape for small and medium enterprises was already done in a very intensive negotiation during the last 1.5 years, and therefore we mentioned once more that the better lawmaking agreement is already, in the sense of a reformed European Union, an enormous step forward. Last element, the section, so-called Section D, concerning the welfare credit questions, access to welfare credits and free movement within the European Union. The European Parliament is here as a core legislator of the European Union, strongly involved. I gave to the Prime Minister a clear signal for our commitment in the European Parliament to be as constructive as necessary and as possible, that we try to find a fair compromise between the Council, the Commission and the Parliament, and also to try to find, in the way of concrete legislation, the necessary solutions for the problems described by the United Kingdom. And I gave the Prime Minister a clear commitment that once an agreement is found in the Council and once the legal text of the Commissions are on the table, the European Parliament will take immediately it on board and start the legislative process, and that we try to be as fast as possible and as constructive as necessary, but quite clear. I can't give a guarantee for an outcome of a future legislation. Nevertheless, it's quite understandable that the Prime Minister asked the European Parliament to cooperate as intensive as possible, and that was the assurance I gave to the Prime Minister, that we will do the utmost to find a fair deal. Thank you very much.
I think 3 or 4 questions. Yes, please.
Mr. President, the Prime Minister promises that an agreement at this summit will be legally binding. Is he correct? And can you give any guarantee that after a referendum, the European Parliament will enact the changes necessary that the British people will have voted on?
That's what I just said. I can give you a guarantee that the European Parliament will deal immediately after the referendum to stay in, to legislate on the then coming up proposal of the Commission. But I repeat what I said in London once, and a deal is agreed between 28 heads of states and government, included in presence of the Commission and the Parliament. I think that there will be a very constructive debate in the European Parliament, but to be quite clear, no government can go to a parliament and say, this is our proposal, can you give a guarantee about the result? This is in democracy not possible. Therefore my answer is, the European Parliament will do the utmost to support compromise and a fair deal, but I can't preempt the result in the European Parliament. But once more, once the institutions agree, our experience is it goes in a good direction. Ja, das ist eine hier erlaubte Sprache.
Die EU steht jetzt ja gerade in der Flüchtlingskrise, ist ein besonderer Augenblick für diese Gespräche. Aber muss man sich jetzt besonders darum bemühen, dass die EU geeint bleibt? Muss man deswegen vielleicht auch besonders wild mit Großbritannien sein?
Ich glaube, dass Mildtätigkeit mit Großbritannien nicht das Ziel der britischen Regierung ist. Deshalb glaube ich, dass wir einen fairen Kompromiss finden müssen. Aber Ihre Frage zielt ganz sicher auf die Atmosphäre, in der wir in dieser Woche hier verhandeln. Deshalb will ich ganz deutlich sagen, die Europäische Union war ganz klar noch nie in einer so dramatischen Lage wie in dieser Woche. Wir diskutieren in dieser Woche über einen notwendigen Kompromiss mit einem G7-Staat, mit einem vetoberechtigten Mitglied des Sicherheitsrates der Vereinten Nationen, Großbritannien, von dem wir wollen, dass es Mitglied der Europäischen Union bleibt. Es hat keinen Sinn, sich das zu erkaufen, indem man die Destrukturierung der Europäischen Union betreibt. Das ist auch nicht im Interesse des Vereinigten Königreiches. Deshalb war das Gespräch heute mit David Cameron für mich ein sehr positives, weil David Cameron ganz klar signalisiert hat, es geht um einige spezifische britische Fragen. Es geht keineswegs darum, die Europäische Union zu schwächen, sondern wir wollen uns gegenseitig stärken. Und was die Flüchtlingsfrage angeht, hier gilt das Gleiche. Wir brauchen uns gegenseitig. Solidarität ist keine Einbahnstraße, sondern ein Grundprinzip. Und dieses Grundprinzip wird von einigen Mitgliedsländern der EU zurzeit massiv in Frage gestellt. Wenn man aber das Grundprinzip in Frage stellt, gefährdet man die gesamte Union. Aus dem Grund hoffe ich, dass wir Donnerstag zu vernünftigen Vereinbarungen auf beiden Ebenen, Flüchtlingspolitik und Großbritannien, kommen werden. Such political operations are always fragile. We have to find a compromise between 28 member states and then a compromise between the 28 member states and the Commission and the Parliament as European institutions. The European Parliament has not a veto. I refuse completely this kind of rhetoric. What we are doing is quite easy to explain. The governments of the European Union agree about a principle. And on the basis of that agreed principle, we start a lawmaking process. We are describing on Thursday, it is also an answer to the first question, a frame. And once the frame is agreed, we will, within the frame, start our legislative process. And this is not a veto, this is a normal procedure. And I repeat, therefore, I encourage British people to vote on the basis of the outcome of Thursday, to vote yes. Then we start a procedure, a legislative procedure, which will clarify and help to solve the problems addressed by the frame, which will be accepted on Thursday. I hope accepted on Thursday.
Ist es problematisch, dass hier in der Frage der Sozialleistung eine Sonderregelung für Großbritannien geschaffen wird und müsste die nicht eigentlich nach den Prinzipien der EU auch für andere offen stehen, die sich in ähnlichen Migrationsproblemen bewegen?
Diese Frage wird ganz sicher am Donnerstag beim Rat von bestimmten Regierungen aufgeworfen werden. Es ist ganz klar, dass eine Regelung, die auf der einen Seite die Freizügigkeit innerhalb der Europäischen Union garantieren muss, aber auf der anderen Seite natürlich zum Inhalt hat, dass die Freizügigkeit innerhalb der EU zur Arbeitsaufnahme nicht gleichzusetzen ist mit der Freizügigkeit in das jeweils beste Sozialsystem zu gehen. Einer Klärung bedarf. Und das ist genau das, was wir am kommenden Donnerstag zu leisten haben. In diesem Punkt ist die Vorgehensweise ganz klar. Missbrauch von Sozialsystemen ist unzulässig. Und deshalb muss man eine Regelung finden, die 100% vereinbar ist mit der garantierten Freizügigkeit von Arbeitnehmerinnen und Arbeitnehmern innerhalb des Binnenmarktes der Europäischen Union und dem Nichtdiskriminierungsgebot, dass niemand wegen seiner Herkunft diskriminiert werden darf. Wenn diese beiden Elemente abgesichert sind, wird man sicher Wege finden, wie man Missbrauch verhindern kann. Thank you very much.